Be me, 19, professional overthinker, and social disaster extraordinaire. Attending community college because my parents think education will magically fix my crippling social anxiety and general life incompetence. Have massive crush on this girl named Madison from my biology class who sits 3 rows ahead of me. She's not even that hot by conventional standards, but something about her sarcastic personality and the way she rolls her eyes at stupid questions gets my autism sensors tingling. Been orbiting her for 3 months like a pathetic satellite stuck in her gravitational pull. We actually talk sometimes about homework assignments, and she doesn't immediately run away screaming, so I consider this significant progress. She has this habit of making dark jokes about everything, which I find absolutely fascinating. Sometimes she references obscure movies and books that make me realize how uncultured I am. Spend hours Googling things she mentions so I can pretend to be intellectual in our conversations. My roommate Kevin thinks I'm becoming obsessed, but I prefer the term strategically interested. One day we're sitting in the library supposedly studying for our upcoming midterm, but really just procrastinating like professional time wasters. She's complaining about how all the guys at school are either complete douchebags or total losers with no middle ground. Like this one guy from my English class, she says, asked me out by sliding into my DMs with a shirtless selfie. Starts laughing. And then there's this other guy who tried to impress me by doing push-ups in the hallway. That's pretty cringe, I say, trying to sound cool and relatable. She nods. Right? Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? My brain starts doing mental gymnastics, thinking maybe this is my opening to differentiate myself from these mongoloids. At least you got standards, I tell her, unlike most girls who just date anyone with a pulse in a car. She looks at me with this weird expression that I can't quite decipher. You know what? She says with a smirk. We should totally date then. My heart stops for approximately 17 seconds while my brain tries to process this information. Feel like I just got hit by a road roller, to levels of shock. My face when I think this might actually be happening after months of painful orbiting. Yeah, I stutter out. That would be really cool, I guess. She starts laughing like it's the funniest thing she's ever heard in her entire life. Oh my God, you actually thought I was serious? She says between giggles. Dating you would be like dating my annoying little brother. The little brother comment hits harder than a truck full of rejection letters. Oh yeah, I knew you were joking, I lie, trying to save face while my voice cracks like I'm going through puberty again. Spend the rest of the study session in awkward silence while she acts like nothing happened. Keep stealing glances at her while she highlights her textbook, completely oblivious to my internal crisis. Walk home that night replaying the conversation in my head, trying to figure out what went wrong. Analyze every word choice and facial expression, like I'm studying for the most important test of my life. Decide. Maybe she was testing me to see how I would react to her joke. Convince myself that her sarcastic comment was actually a way to gauge my interest without risking real rejection. Autism brain goes into overdrive, analyzing every possible hidden meaning behind her words. Spend the next week planning how to bring up the topic again without seeming desperate or creepy. Research conversation starters online and practice different responses in the mirror. My roommate Kevin notices I'm acting even weirder than usual, which is saying something. Dude, what's wrong with you lately? He asks while eating cereal for dinner. Explain the situation, and he just stares at me like I told him I believe the earth is flat. She was obviously not interested, Kevin says. You should move on before you embarrass yourself further. Ignore his advice because Kevin has never had a girlfriend and clearly doesn't understand the complex psychology of women. Decide to test the waters by being more flirty in our next conversation. Wait for the perfect moment when we're alone after class and the hallway is mostly empty. Hey Madison, I say, trying to sound casual. I was thinking about what you said the other day. What did I say? She asks, looking confused. About us dating, I continue. We would probably make a good couple since we have so much in common. Mention how we both like similar movies and have the same sense of humor. She gives me that same weird look and asks, Are you being serious right now? Totally serious, I tell her. I think we should give it a shot. She sighs deeply and, Look, I really was just joking, and I don't see you that way. I value our friendship too much to ruin it with dating complications, she adds. The friendship zone speech hits like a nuclear bomb of cringe and disappointment. Oh, I was just kidding too, I try to backtrack, but it's way too late for damage control. She can smell the desperation radiating off me like cheap body spray. Things get progressively weird between us after that conversation. She starts sitting on the other side of the classroom and takes longer to respond to my texts. When she does respond, it's always short answers with no questions to continue the conversation. Okay, yeah, maybe, become her standard responses. My paranoid brain convinces me that she thinks I'm some kind of creepy stalker now. Decide I need to do something dramatic to prove I'm not a total loser and win her back. Remember, she mentioned liking this obscure indie band that literally no one has ever heard of. Spend my entire paycheck from my part-time job at Target on concert tickets. We're talking expensive tickets too, like front row seats that cost more than my monthly food budget. Plan to casually mention that I got tickets and see if she wants to go with me. Practice the conversation in my head for days, trying to sound nonchalant. Approach her after class with what I think is casual confidence, but probably looks like constipation. Hey, so I happened to get tickets to see that band you like, I tell her. Want to come with me? She looks immediately suspicious. How do you even know about them? Realize I never actually listened to their music and have no idea what they sound like. Panic mode activates. I discovered them recently and really like their unique sound. Oh really, she says, what's your favorite song by them? My knowledge consists entirely of what I read on their Wikipedia page 5 minutes ago. I prefer their earlier, more underground experimental stuff. I try to deflect. Which album specifically? She presses. You know, the one with all the good songs, I say like a complete moron. She calls me out immediately. You have no idea what you're talking about, do you? Why would you buy expensive tickets for music you don't even like? She asks. The truth comes spilling out like verbal diarrhea, mixed with pure panic. I only bought them because I thought you would want to go with me, I admit. She gets this look of pity mixed with annoyance that makes me want to crawl into a hole and die. This is exactly the kind of weird behavior I was worried about, she says. I think we should take a break from hanging out until you can figure out how to be normal. Walk away feeling like I just got roasted by a professional comedian at an open mic night. Kevin finds me later that day, stress-eating a family-sized bag of Cheetos and playing League of Legends. Let me guess, he says. It didn't go well. Explain the whole concert ticket fiasco, and he just shakes his head. You basically turned into a textbook nice guy without realizing it, Kevin explains. Tells me about how this same exact thing happened to his older brother in high school. Apparently buying things for girls you barely know is a classic mistake that never works, he says. Spend the next few days avoiding Madison completely out of pure embarrassment and shame. She tries to text me once, hey, are we okay? Stare at the message for hours, not knowing how to respond without sounding pathetic. Leave her on read, like the social coward I am while overthinking what to say. 2 weeks pass and I start to think maybe I can salvage this situation with the right approach. Decide to write her a long apology text explaining that I understand why she was uncomfortable. Draft about 15 different versions before settling on something that sounds relatively normal. Hey Madison, I wanted to apologize for being weird lately. I understand why you were uncomfortable and I respect your decision. Sorry for making things awkward between us. Send the text and immediately regret every single word choice. She responds an hour later. I appreciate the apology, but I think we should just be acquaintances from now on. The word acquaintances cuts deeper than any insult ever could have. Realize, I successfully downgraded myself from friend to random person she vaguely knows. Start seeing her around campus with some guy from her art class who looks like he stepped out of a magazine. He's everything I'm not. Tall, confident, and probably doesn't analyze every social interaction for hidden meanings that feel when you realize you played yourself harder than anyone else ever could. They start dating within a month, and she looks genuinely happy when they're together. Meanwhile, I'm back to eating lunch alone and pretending I don't care about social connections. Kevin tries to cheer me up by pointing out that at least I learned something valuable from this experience. The only thing I learned, I tell him, is that my social skills are somehow getting worse with age. He laughs. That's probably true, but at least you're self-aware about it now. Fast forward to the end of the semester, and I have to see Madison at our biology final exam. She nods politely when she sees me, but doesn't try to start a conversation. We went from potential couple to awkward strangers in the span of 2 months. My autism brain keeps replaying that first conversation where she said we should date. Wonder if there was ever a universe where she actually meant it, or if I was always delusional. Probably not. But the overthinking continues anyway, like a broken record. Finish the final exam and walk out knowing I'll probably never talk to her again. Kevin asks how it went, and I tell him it was fine, which is code for emotionally devastating. He suggests we go get pizza to celebrate the end of another semester of academic mediocrity. Agree, because pizza is the only constant in my life that never disappoints me. Sitting in the pizza place, watching normal people have normal conversations about normal things. Realize that some of us are just built different and not in a good way. My face when I turned a simple, sarcastic joke into a multi-month saga of social destruction. That feel when you realize you might actually be the problem in every social situation. Kevin tries to give me advice about talking to girls, but he's literally never had a girlfriend either. Save your wisdom for someone who hasn't already proven themselves completely hopeless, I tell him. We eat pizza in comfortable silence while I contemplate my bleak dating future. Spoiler alert, it looks pretty fucking grim from here. At least I still have my part-time job at Target and my League of Legends account. Sometimes the simple pleasures are all you need to cope with. Romantic failure. That feel when you realize you peaked in elementary school, when holding hands was the ultimate relationship goal. Be me 20, peak basement dweller living with mom. Because college is expensive as hell and my part-time job at Radio Shack barely covers ramen noodles. Finally managed to get a date with this girl named Ashley from my programming class. After weeks of awkward small talk about Java syntax, she's actually cute and somehow finds my terrible programming jokes funny, which should have been a red flag. Been texting for weeks and she agrees to come over to watch movies on my crusty old laptop. Clean my room for the first time in months. Hide all the anime figurines in closet behind old textbooks. Spray Febreze everywhere to mask the scent of Doritos, Monster Energy drinks, and general despair. Vacuum the carpet, which reveals colors I forgot existed under all the chip crumbs. Tell mom I'm having a friend over and to please act normal for once in her miserable life. Oh honey, is this a girlfriend? She asks with that evil grin mothers get when they smell weakness. Just a friend, mom. Please don't embarrass me like you did at my high school graduation, I beg pathetically. She promises to behave, but I can see the chaos brewing in her eyes like a storm on the horizon. Spend 30 minutes trying to decide what shirt to wear that doesn't have anime references or pizza stains. Settle on a plain black t-shirt that makes me look like a school shooter, but at least it's clean. Ashley arrives looking actually good, wearing a nice dress and everything, which makes me question her life choices. Introduce her to mom, who seems normal at first, offering drinks and snacks like a functioning human being. Nice to meet you, dear. Would you like some homemade cookies? Mom offers sweetly. We go to the living room to watch some Netflix show that doesn't involve giant robots or magical girls. Everything's going well. We're sitting close on the couch, and she doesn't seem repulsed by my presence. Ashley seems genuinely interested in what I'm saying about my computer science classes and future career prospects. Start to think maybe I actually have a shot with this girl who clearly has questionable judgment. Mom brings us drinks and cookies like a normal parent would, making me think she might actually keep her word. Feeling confident enough to put my arm around Ashley after an hour of normal conversation. She doesn't pull away, actually leans into me a bit, which sends my anxiety through the roof. My autism brain is celebrating this major victory like I just conquered a small nation. Then mom comes back into the room for absolutely no reason, carrying a photo album. So Ashley, what do you think of my son? She asks with fake innocence while flipping through baby pictures. He's really sweet and smart, Ashley says, being polite and probably regretting her life choices. Oh, that's wonderful, mom continues. I was worried he'd never find someone willing to tolerate him. Start getting nervous about where this conversation is heading based on past traumatic experiences. You know, he's had such trouble with girls in the past, mom says, while showing embarrassing childhood photos. Feel my soul leaving my body as she continues talking, like I'm not sitting right there. I keep telling him he needs to get out more instead of staying in his room all day talking to his computer. Ashley looks confused but still polite. Oh, what does he do in his room all day? Mom's eyes light up like she just hit the lottery jackpot of embarrassment opportunities. Well, he spends a lot of time on his computer, she says innocently, while pulling out more photos. Pray to every god, deity, and anime character that she stops there, but of course she doesn't. He's always watching those Japanese cartoons with the big-eyed girls in revealing outfits. Ashley raises an eyebrow. Anime? Yes, that's what it's called, Mom says excitedly like she just discovered fire. Want to disappear into the couch cushions and never emerge again. He has quite the collection of those little figurines too, Mom adds helpfully. Ashley starts looking uncomfortable but tries to stay polite because she's a decent human being. Mom, maybe we should watch the movie now. I try to interrupt desperately. Oh, honey, don't be shy about your hobbies. She cuts me off with surgical precision, turns back to Ashley with renewed enthusiasm like a predator sensing wounded prey. You should see his room. It's like a shrine to cartoon girls with impossible body proportions. Ashley's face changes from polite confusion to mild concern and existential dread. He even has body pillows with pictures on them for when he gets lonely at night, Mom continues mercilessly. That's when I know I'm completely screwed and should start writing my will. Ashley starts shifting away from me on the couch like I have a contagious disease. Body pillows? She asks, clearly weirded out and probably questioning her life choices. Oh yes, he says they're for emotional support, Mom explains helpfully, like she's giving a TED Talk. Want to crawl under a rock and die a slow, painful death? Try damage control then. Mom, can we please talk about something else like the weather or politics? Sure, sweetie, she says, then immediately continues the psychological assault without missing a beat. Ashley, do you know what hentai is? My face when Mom just dropped the H-bomb in front of my date like she's dropping napalm. Ashley's eyes widen in horror. Isn't that like adult anime with explicit content? Exactly, Mom says proudly, like she just solved world hunger. My son is quite the expert on the subject matter, literally praying for a meteor to hit the house right now and end my suffering. Ashley stands up, looking extremely uncomfortable and probably planning her escape route. I think I should probably go, she says awkwardly, while backing toward the door. Oh no, did I say something wrong? Mom asks with fake concern that could win an Oscar. Ashley makes some excuse about having to study for finals and heads for the door, like the house is on fire. Follow her, trying to apologize, but the damage is done and my reputation is buried 6 feet under. Maybe we can hang out at school instead, she says diplomatically while running away. Watch her car pull away knowing I'll never hear from her again, except maybe in restraining order paperwork. Go back inside, ready to commit matricide and burn the house down. Mom, what the hell was that about? I demand while having a complete mental breakdown. She's standing in the kitchen with the biggest smirk on her face like she just won the lottery. Honey, I was just being honest about who you are, she says while making herself tea. You completely sabotaged my date on purpose like some kind of relationship terrorist, I yell. Did I though? She asks, then drops the real nuclear bomb. By the way, she would have found out about your weird obsessions eventually anyway. My jaw hits the floor so hard it cracks the tile. What do you mean by that? Sweetie, I've done your laundry for 20 years, she says matter-of-factly. I know exactly what suspicious stains are on your sheets and what you do in there. Die inside as she continues her psychological warfare with surgical precision. Plus, those anime girls you pleasure yourself to have completely unrealistic proportions. Their breasts are bigger than their heads and their waists are thinner than my wrist. Mom, please stop talking before I have a complete nervous breakdown, I beg desperately. What? I'm just saying she deserves to know what she's getting into, she shrugs. Realize my own mother just roasted me harder than any internet troll ever could in their wildest dreams. Storm off to my room to process this betrayal and contemplate moving to another country. Hear music starting to play from downstairs that sounds suspiciously familiar. Recognize the tune immediately and my blood runs cold with pure terror. She's playing the JoJo torture dance song at full volume. Peek down the stairs and witness the most cursed sight of my entire life. My middle-aged mother is doing the torture dance in our living room with perfect choreography. She knows all the moves and everything, even the hand gestures and facial expressions. My face. When I realize my mom is more of a weeb than I am and has been hiding it, she sees me watching and starts laughing maniacally like a cartoon villain. Surprised? I'm the one who got you into anime in the first place, you little shit. Apparently she's been hiding her power level this whole time like some kind of sleeper agent. Where do you think your Blu-ray collection came from? She asks while continuing to dance. Realize she's been buying me anime for years and probably knows more about it than I do. But why did you sabotage my date then? I ask, still confused and emotionally devastated. Because I have plans, she says mysteriously while finishing her dance routine. Shows me Ashley's phone number that she somehow got during their conversation. I'm gonna call her father, Mom announces like she's declaring war. What? Why would you do that to the poor man? She mentioned her parents are divorced during our chat, Mom explains, and I saw his picture on her phone when she showed me family photos. He's quite handsome for a man his age and probably has money. Slowly realize what's happening here and feel my sanity slipping away. You're going to try to date Ashley's dad? I ask in complete horror. Why not? We're both single adults with functioning reproductive organs, she says, shrugging. Honey, you already have absolutely no chance with that girl, she says brutally. Might as well make the best of a bad situation and salvage something from this disaster. Watch in disbelief as she actually calls the number like she's ordering pizza. Hello, is this Mr. Johnson? This is Linda, Ashley's friend's mother from tonight. Can't believe this is actually happening in real life and not some fever dream. She starts flirting with him over the phone like a horny teenager. Oh, you're divorced too? What a delightful coincidence. Spend the next hour listening to my mom set up a coffee date while I question reality. Ashley's dad apparently thinks she's charming and funny, which means he has terrible judgment too. They make plans to meet tomorrow at some fancy coffee shop downtown, hang up the phone looking satisfied with herself like she just closed a business deal. There, problem solved, she announces triumphantly. How is this solving anything except creating more problems? I ask desperately. Well, if I marry her father, Ashley will be your stepsister, she explains. Then you definitely can't date her anymore, problem solved. The logic is so twisted it almost makes sense in a psychotic way. Plus, I get a new husband, and you get to keep your anime waifus without guilt. Everyone wins except Ashley, but she'll get over it eventually. Realize my mom is actually an evil genius masquerading as a suburban housewife. Fast forward 6 months and they're actually engaged after a whirlwind romance. Ashley and I have to sit at the same Thanksgiving table and pretend this is normal. She still won't make eye contact with me and probably thinks our family is cursed. Meanwhile, mom and her dad are being gross and affectionate like teenagers. Pass the stuffing, stepson, Ashley says sarcastically while shooting daggers with her eyes. Her dad doesn't know about the anime situation yet, but mom promised to tell him eventually. My face when I got cucked by my own mother in the most spectacular way possible. But honestly, she saved me from a relationship that would have ended badly anyway. Ashley would have eventually discovered my anime obsession and weird habits. At least this way, mom got a happy ending, and I learned valuable life lessons. And I learned that my mother has been the ultimate weeb this whole time. She even bought me a new Dakimakura for Christmas with a note saying, "Thought you might need a new girlfriend." That feel when your mom understands you better than any real girl ever could or would. Sometimes the best wingman is the person who birthed you and knows all your secrets, even if she does cockblock you in the most spectacular and traumatic way possible.